The Wall Street Journal talking about wider problems found at the IRS. They're finding out that it wasn't just if Tea Party was in their name, and it wasn't just if Patriot was in their name. It also included those worried about government spending, debt, taxes, basically any conservative fiscal approach. The IRS decided this is mind-boggling. I'm going to say what else. I want you to continue, Mika. But what is mind-boggling also is the headline on the front page of the New York Times, which didn't even put this on the front page of its national edition this weekend. Their headline: IRS focus on conservatives gives GOP a path, an issue to seize on. This while Mika, the ACLU is coming out talking about how chilling this is, how frightening this is, that this government is using the Internal Revenue Service to target people with whom they disagree.
It does not look good at all. It looks, I'd say, embarrassing as a way to start, but we'll find out much more. Joining us now from Washington, we have the NBC News senior investigative correspondent Lisa Myers joining us now. Lisa, great to have you back on the show. What are you hearing there?
Thanks, Mick. Well, people I talked to over the weekend in both parties were absolutely dumbfounded that something like this could happen in the IRS. Do these people not remember the Nixon administration? I mean, one of the abuses of power was his use of the IRS against his political enemies. Clearly what the IRS has said so far doesn't add up. An official on Friday said, well, conservative groups were targeted, but this wasn't politically motivated. Huh? And then, and then the acknowledgement that senior officials knew and did not inform Congress. In fact, they told Congress that the claims that conservative groups were being targeted were untrue.
Hey, Lisa, can I stop you right there? And just on that point, Mika, read this timeline, if you will. Okay. And then have Lisa move on that, because she was just about talking about what what the IRS said.
All right, here's the timeline of the IRS's position on the issue. According to reports obtained by the Associated Press, the findings seem to contradict public statements made by the agency's commissioner. In March of 2012, IRS Commissioner Douglas Shulman testified that there was, quote, absolutely no targeting, adding that the investigations were, quote, the kind of back and forth that happens to people.
So a year ago, absolutely no targeting.
On Saturday, the IRS put out a statement reading, quote, senior leadership was not aware of this level of specific details at the time of the March 2012 hearing.
Okay, so they were saying it was just low-level employees in Ohio. That was on Friday.
It goes on to say, quote, senior leadership did not have this level of detail. But the Associated Press reports that back in June of 2011, the official who heads the IRS division that oversees tax-exempt organizations learned at a meeting that groups were being targeted. And just 2 months later, in August of 2011, staffers in the IRS's Rulings and Agreements Office, quote, held a meeting with chief counsel so that everyone would have the latest information on the issue.
Lisa Myers, people sort of try to clean things up, and they'll say, well, you know, they misspoke or there were falsehoods. These are just out-and-out lies. I mean, people in Middle America would just call these out-and-out lies. The IRS has been lying, and I'm kind of shocked. Even Mother Jones, a very progressive site, was shocked this weekend and said, seriously? The IRS knew this was coming and they still were misleading people on Friday?
It is amazing to me that the senior IRS officials, once they learned this was happening, didn't try to fire the individuals involved. I mean, I know it's very tough in the civil service, but the idea that this seemingly was greeted with shrugs within the agency, certainly there doesn't appear to be at this point any strong action that was taken. I agree with Mark, there's a great deal we do not know, but certainly what is showing is pretty indefensible.
Look, the integrity of the IRS is absolutely essential. We all understand why that is, not just at the theoretical level that it's an independent agency, but it's the IRS. It is is one that can induce extraordinary levels of professional, personal torment upon people as groups, as individuals. And so if we don't have utter faith in the apolitical nature of the IRS, we have a huge problem. It's at the core of a lot of people's lives.
It is the core of people's lives. Also, when you talk about speech and protected speech, the thing you learn in law school very early on is all speech, for the most part, can be, the government can step in and they can figure out how to regulate speech. But when it comes to political speech, it's sacrosanct. Our founding fathers meant for it to be sacrosanct. The Supreme Court, conservative and liberal Supreme Courts alike, do not allow the government to tread on political speech. There is a wall around that, and that wall has been knocked down by the IRS for several years now.
There's been many overblown claims of tyranny and abuse of power from the government over the last few years. We've heard those when it comes to we're coming for your guns, that kind of thing. This is tyranny.
This is.
If this is the government, a nonpartisan agency coming after specific groups, this time it's real.